Alright, this is for Unit 2, Activity 2. Alright, so we're working with a capacitor again. You'll notice now that your pictures at the top are drawn as schematics. Okay, so two parallel lines of equal length represents a capacitor. Circles with R1, R2, those are bulbs. And then a long line with a short line represents one battery, so there's a total of 3 batteries in the system. So we have that set up over here. Got 2 bulbs, we've got 3 batteries, capacitor, and a compass as well, because we need that to test what we are predicting. So first thing you're predicting is whether or not the bulbs will light. Just so you know, we will never be resetting the capacitor through this. Alright, so it's going to be just going back and forth between charging and discharging. Also, with the compass deflection, just so you know, A, B, C, and D are going to be the wires as it charges, whereas E, F, and G are the wires as it discharges. Okay? So go ahead and make your predictions. Pause this for a second so you can get those all recorded, and then when you turn it back on, I will be testing our capacitor. So because this involves a compass again, you do need to be very systematic about always making sure that the same wire is always connected to the negative end, same wire is always connected to the positive end, because to charge and discharge we're having to constantly disconnect our batteries. Okay? So just to make sure, we've got at least one bulb in view, right? And I'll make sure at least the compass stays in view. And try to move those in a little closer. So if you remember that discharging, you get a little bit of lighting as well as charging. Okay? And to test A, B, C, and D, we want to make sure we are actually charging the capacitor. So we need to start with a discharge one. So I'm going to make sure we discharge it, and then we are going to get this wire set up. So if you notice, this first one, I'm starting with the wire connected to the negative end of the battery at the top of the compass. We need to make sure that the end of the wire closest to the negative end always stays up top. Alright? So watch the compass. I'm going to move the capacitor just to make sure you can see. But you want to determine if it's going clockwise or counterclockwise. Alright? So it went this way. If you trace that around in a circle, you're moving clockwise. Alright? So now we need to discharge. Then we're going to rotate this around to get wire B in position. Alright? Here's wire B. Get wire B set up across the compass. And then going to attach, and you notice it goes clockwise again. So rotate again to test wire C. But first we need to discharge. Okay, discharged. Get the wire set up. And watch the compass because I'm connecting it. And it goes clockwise again. And one last rotation. Going to discharge. We have a problem. Sure my bulbs are still touching? There we go. Discharged. And here's our last wire. It's not fully connected yet. Try to keep things out of view. And last one goes clockwise. Alright, so charging, it all went clockwise. Alright, so now we're going to be testing discharging. Alright, so that's when the batteries aren't involved and you do get some lighting. So I just discharged the system. But just so you have an idea of what's going on, wire E is this big long wire here, okay? Even though it's two separate wires, there's nothing in between, so we can treat that as one wire. Alright, so, and again, we need to make sure we stay consistent with what we're doing. So I want to make sure that this one always goes on the negative end of the battery, and this one always goes on the positive when I charge it. Okay? So, I just charged it, and now we're going to test to see what happens with discharging. So I'm going to keep the negative end of my cord up at the top like I did before. Alright, and then I'm going to touch the two ends to discharge, and it went counterclockwise. Okay, so now I need to charge back up. Make sure you put the negative end back on the negative end. Alright, so now that's charged. I'm going to rotate. Alright, negative end of the wire at the top, and discharging, and it goes counterclockwise. And last wire, again, make sure you recharge with the negative end in the correct place. So now the lights went on and then went off, so we know we're charged. Our last wire, and discharging, and counterclockwise again. Alright, so think about what compass deflection, the direction of the compass deflection means. Okay? So what's happening when you have the battery plugged in and you're charging, and what's happening when you remove the battery and you're discharging, to say the flow of the electricity. You explain that with your conclusion. You can then, your two options for getting credit this, you can turn in a summary of the video when you turn in your lab packet, or you can come, I'll ask you some questions. Yeah, you'll better be able to answer that one I just put in there, and then you'll get your stamp from me in class. But see you in class.